and be scared of anyone being knocked out of the tournament just yet. But there's a lot of favorites in this group. Everyone in this group, arguably one of the favorites to get through. We'll see which of these two ends up reigning supreme. Currently spawning here in the bottom right corner of the map, coming from Samsung Galaxy. We'll see if he can go to join his brother-in-arms Solar. It's going to be the red Protoss player, Stork.
Everyone's being so sick everywhere on Twitter, on the live report thread. Oh, I love it.
What do you mean?
I'll introduce him first. In the upper left, as the blue Zerg, it is CM Storm's Revival.
If I go to Twitter, there's a bunch of ninja things. I'm like shutting this tournament down right
Oh,
now.
That's on Twitter. I don't know about your Twitter, it's not mine. But on the live report thread, someone said, put a poll is which is cooler, ninjas or pirates? And then someone counter-polled with what year is it, 2014 or 2006?
Amazing. Amazing. I'm so glad that we've got those live report threads going. That's pretty cool. But okay, so we find ourselves in the game with two players who both come from like Brood War eras, both players who have had fantastic runs in StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. I mean, Stork and Revival though, you know, they're kind of like, they're the two guys that have also been really stuck in Korea for a long time. Revivals, I think, started edging out kind of last year. We saw them on a lot of Zotac Cups. Stork, of course, so heavily involved with Pro League. Not really thinking about those weekly tournaments. But a fun story while we're waiting, guys. The only reason I have contact for Stork, and the only reason I know him in the first place was for the Zotac Cups, the weeklies that would happen. We saw Solar start coming out, and Solar started winning a lot of these because Hyun had stopped in order to train for WCS, and Polt had stopped in order to train for WCS, both for their respective regions. So it kind of left this opening for someone to come win these cups. Solar started winning the cups, and I think Solar probably said to his teammates, hey, look at this, I got $100. Neener, neener, boo-boo, right? So Stork and Trend and a couple of the other guys, like Bernie, Armani, now known, start saying, hey, $100 to beat a bunch of foreigners? No problem. We'll also play that. So the Samsung Galaxy guys started coming out for a lot of the Zotac Cups. And the only reason I know Stork is because he was kicking ass taking names from the poor North Americans.
Well, of course, if you guys don't know Stork, he were in Brood War. I mean, he was pretty good, you know, one of the last dragons, whatever you want to call it. I don't actually know. I know more about the Terrans that were in Brood War than I know about the Protosses in Brood War. Except Bisu. I know a lot about Bisu. But anyways, yeah, Stork has always been like a, you know, a favorite. You know, when January was the coach of Samsung, she did retire, I think, last year or 2 years ago. He was always a favorite, always being thrown out in Pro League, and he did have a very terrible time when Heart of the Swarm came out, but he reversed his 14 lose streak or something insane like that with a pretty good win streak, and now he's actually pretty good in Pro League, of course, not being shown lately because his team was the only Kespa-based team that did not make it. QQQQ.
Yeah. You know, focusing a lot on Stork here, of course, but Revival, you know, it's kind of a weird pickup for him to join CM Storm. I mean, you know, we of course had the whole rap thing about the whole like XTSL, and the original group was of course mostly XTSL, but poor Revival, it kind of feels like this really good player who just gets ignored. I'm really glad CM Storm picked him up.
Yeah.
He isn't exactly the next Polt yet as far as popularity goes, but you really can't underestimate his play. Because every time we see him, it's like, oh, he won, but nobody seemed to care.
Right, yeah. I mean, no one really remembers that he won a tournament. At least I think he was the one that won a tournament. Back when he was just barely on EG still, you know, stuff like that. Like, yeah, and CM Storm, if they're looking for another Zerg, there are a lot of other Zergs and other Koreans that didn't have a team that you thought they were going to pick up. So when Revival was announced, it was kind of a shocker, but he certainly is a very solid player.
It's driving me nuts. I'm trying to remember what it was you won. There's an IEM, but I don't remember which one.
It was.
I want to say Shanghai. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, it was a while ago because of course I think it was like last year or something. But still, Revival is this guy who, I mean, I kind of feel like he's the underdog of the group, but not by much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he also got second in an American tournament, or the WCS America, and it was first at IM Shanghai. I mean, but no one remembers.
Yeah, so I mean, this is gonna be another one of those tournaments where maybe he'll win and nobody remembers, or maybe it's the tournament that finally makes people go like, "Oh, Jesus, there were so many good players invited and he won." I don't know. I mean, like, the thing about our tournament is it's not WCS, it's not an IEM, it's not a breakout performance where everyone's gonna be like, "Wow, the $100,000 prize, we'll remember this for life." But it is kind of like the first big amateur tournament I think it's been in StarCraft 2 for a while, and we've been getting a lot of. I think for most people, like 7K viewers on a stream is an absolute failure for something like a DreamHack. But for us, this is the most fantastic victory we could have ever hoped for. So I kind of hope that at least the community aspect will remember whoever wins this tournament, whether it's Revival or whether it's somebody else.
Yeah.
But opening Phoenixes, Revival makes no waste. He decides to put down 2 Spore Callers immediately. And I like that he's actually put them kind of close. It does make it a bit annoying because the Phoenixes get a little bit more leeway, but it also guarantees that if they do get in range, they'll probably be in range of both. Now, these Zealots are going to be a big problem because Revival waited to get those Roaches, and he put all his money expecting just Phoenix Harass.
Yeah, I don't believe he saw any of the pylons go down. And he didn't get a very good scout beside, because the Phoenix are taking care of the Overlords around the base. So we didn't see that there was 4 gateways behind this, ready and waiting to warp in just maybe 1 or 2 warp-ins of Zealots. And seeing as how effective this is, Stork goes ahead and warps in another set, maybe even a 3rd set if he really thinks it's going to be that well off.
Well, he's going to clean this up with the Roaches, as we see. He's got more than enough of them, but bleeds out a ton of drones. I mean, he's trying to keep the Queen alive. He's trying to keep the drones kind of in that hold position, but 8 workers died. Not devastating, not the end of the world, but not a situation, of course, that he wants to be in. Might lose an Overlord or 2 for this too. Ooh, that's going to sting.
Yeah, I think that was super effective. I mean, 7 Zealots, 700 minerals, but he took down a Queen, he forced out a lot of Roaches, took down some drones, and of course those Overlords, and really caused Revival to panic. Let's not forget about that, the emotional, the mental aspect, I guess you could call it. The Phoenix is still reigning, still running, waving, flying around.
Well, I like the Void Ray coming up behind this too, by the way. Like, we got a couple sentries, that'll keep them back, but there's no Stalkers, there's no Mortals, there's no heavy fire. So if Revival goes for the counterattack like he is, the Void Ray prismatically aligned is going to shut this down.
Yeah, and the Immortal coming out as well. It's very common to see this Roach counterattack after something like that, so you gotta prepare. The 3rd, it could be focused and cancelled. Could be. I don't think Revival wants to throw away his Roaches like that. You should just run. Yep, running.
Small shout out to Mobile User, just subbed to the channel. Welcome to the family, man. People have been asking all day, and I'll remind you guys once again, the only replays that will be shared from this tournament will be to our subs and subs only. So if you guys want sick replays from any of the group stages or the finals, we'll be doing that all in one big bundle after the tournament has concluded. But once again, the Phoenix is coming for some harass. Goes for the gas mining drones. Quite a nuisance. Spore Caller not quite in range, but if he uproots it, then he's in even more trouble. So kind of just has to take it. As we see, the drone count, though, despite the harass, has been really favoring Revival here as far as his income goes. 72 drones over 56. You look down here, maybe these numbers don't mean a lot to you, but the blue graph that we can show off certainly should. Now, one of the big things for this is Revival. Okay, you're on a lot of drones, and it's usually at the cost of any army, but we see him actually going to Corruptors for the time being, and I'm wondering if this is going to be Corruptor Muta. I mean, yeah, okay, with the upgrades, definitely.
And the Mutas.
Yeah, okay, so just do this a little bit differently. I mean, you'll sometimes see players put the Mutas out first, but I guess he's really afraid of them getting picked off easily by the Phoenixes. So with 6 Corruptors on the way, he'll be able to start picking these off. For those who have never seen this strategy before, and I'm hoping you have, quite frankly, at this point, but the way you end up using this is the Corruptors act as kind of like these blockers. You want to keep Phoenixes on the other side of the Corruptors and your Mutas safely behind them. So you just kind of use them as a pivot point while you rotate around, do some harass, pick off what you can. But cannons are coming down, and right now this is not a bad choice because there's not a lot of anti-air, but Blink's on the way. Lots of Stalkers will eventually be warped in, and let's not forget Archons and Phoenixes are so good at dealing with Mutas.
Damn it. I always, I don't know if it's like the bias in me or what, but I always feel better for the person who goes Mutas. Even if there are Phoenixes, and I think that Phoenixes is sometimes be a really big headache to deal with, I just always see Mutas as being something that a Protoss, no matter what, had like a mental block against sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenixes and any Impulse Crystals are meant to entirely counter this, but it's so much easier to get a fungal growth on a bunch of Phoenixes than it is to land a Storm or like get an Archon Blast on Mutas. Oh, he actually gets that base. Nicely done here out of Stork.
Nice. Revival did expand to the other base as well, and Stork is getting prepared to go into those anti-impulse crystals. And this is definitely, I think, the most effective way. We have seen people win with Blink Stalkers and Archons when they mix it in, but the most effective way to deal with it is the Phoenixes. That way you can actually go with your army, and if the Mutas counterattack, you have your own mobile units to try and hold them off, and of course, recall back home if necessary.
I mean, there's a lot of defense here placed in the natural mineral line, but absolutely necessary. I'm surprised we don't see more Stargates coming down, though, because often if it is going to be like a dedicated air battle versus a dedicated air battle, we'll see like 2 or 3 Stargates slapped down alongside with that fleet beacon, but still content just sitting on 1 with Chrono Boost. I mean, this isn't a bad idea for now because the Mutals count is not out of control, but the idea, of course, is that you expect to take some losses, and he's not going to be able to reproduce off those losses. So my thought process is that Stork is looking to go more ground-based. Oh, never mind. As he throws down those extra 2 Stargates.
So getting a lot of Phoenixes. I mean, his face count really isn't that bad. So it's 26 Mutas, 6 Corruptors versus 10 Phoenixes, which they're more deterrents. You know, obviously 10 Phoenixes aren't going to take that amount of Mutas in a fight, but they're deterrents around the base. If it does come to a base trade, though, of course you're going to want those 3 Phoenix pumps of from the Stargate.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Mutas and Corruptors have flocked up quite nicely. That's the only way I can think to describe it. 27 Mutas. To describe why this works so well, guys, if you don't know, Corruptors are like one of the few units in the game, I really can't think of any others off the top of my head, that have base 2 armor. Consider the fact that Phoenixes only hit for 5. Yeah, they hit twice, but you're really hitting the Corruptors for almost nothing at all. There's some players I actually really enjoyed watching do this style. Kane comes to mind immediately from my insanity. He does the double spire, so you get the upgrades for the armor alongside those weapons. And if you want to just laugh, watch level 3 armor upgrade Corruptors with 5 armor take no damage from Phoenixes. Well, you can never take no damage in StarCraft 2, but basically no damage.
Yeah. Might want some Stalkers to help out here, but they were moving across the map, so a little awkwardly timed for Stork. And without any Archons, I mean, a couple of Archons beneath this, and Revival probably has to come back.
Look at them just take those hits! I mean, this is... Revival is playing this out pretty nicely. He takes extra bases while this is going on, too, so he's got, like, the entirety of his map covered. His production won't be an issue, and he's keeping Stork choked on 3 right now. I mean, the Muta it's mostly harass, honestly. It's not so much Muta damage, but mostly Muta harass. As this carries through for the rest of the game, as long as he can keep Stork from ever taking a 4th, Stork will eventually just die to attrition more than anything else. We see Void Rays with these Stalkers. These are meant to deal with the Corruptors a little bit better, but quite frankly, the Muta count's getting to that point where he can start diving onto the Phoenixes as we see.
Yeah, but anytime he gets a little ahead of his Corruptors, which of course Mutas are faster, the Phoenix is just absolutely wrecked. I mean, watch how many die every single time this happens. And oh, Stork with the nice moves, catch things out of position. Revival does actually have to take this fight. I don't know why just to the left. Oh, he's losing a lot of health.
Because he's not Beyonce. Or no, that's to the right.
To the left? To the left?
No, to the right. Whatever. Wait, it is to the left.
No, you're right. You're right. This is a good joke.
Okay,
good job, Rifkin.
You got me confused. I thought I made a witty quip. But counterattack goes off by Stork while this is going on, and Revival, frankly, doesn't have anything at home to deal with this. Even if he maxes on Mutas, the Stalkers on the left side of the field can certainly deal with that. Roaches do get into the base. This is like the most awkward base trade, but you're right. I think Stork's going to take it if it is a full-on base trade.
I'm not sure why Revival actually felt like he had to awkwardly stay in the middle between Phoenixes and the Blink Stalkers. There is position left and to the right that you can escape, but he lost all of his Mutas. This army did not even take any damage. Like the Phoenixes
there's not enough on the ground to buffer. Yeah, the force field's coming down. Like if there's no force fields to buffer the Stalker shots, he gets in here no problem. He's gonna do what he can, but I think Revival is about to lose this game. The Muta's starting to die out. He was in such a good spot.
I know, 5 bases.
This is the problem with Mutas, though. I mean, right here in every matchup, if you go Mutas, they can get you a lot of control, but you can also lose the game in an instant if you mess up for even a second.
Yeah, and you know, what we're missing is, I think, you know, he must have been like a minute or 2 away from thinking, oh, and, you know, Fungals. That's the next step in this situation. And instead, he gets that really awkward engagement where he sticks between 2 of the armies. I don't know.
Yeah.